I'm Shelby Williams with Plano City Council. It's about 1:30 a.m., but I'm going to give you the recap anyway. There are three big items tonight. The first was the proposed repeal of the ethics ordinance passed last December that said that council members who accepted more than $1,000 from anybody with a material financial interest before council should recuse themselves. So 25 people came to speak on that topic. And I'm going to paraphrase Milton Friedman, who said that I don't think the right solution is to try to elect the right people. I think the right solution is to create a political climate in which even the wrong person is incentivized to do the right thing. With all of the outreach of citizens over the past few days since this was seen on the agenda, and the people who came to speak tonight, I think that's exactly what happened tonight. Because out of all the concern and the desire to keep an ordinance to strengthen the integrity of the votes on council, that item to repeal it was tabled unanimously, and we agreed to have a working session to address the gaps in the ordinance and strengthen it. So I'm very proud that that is going to be coming back for council to consider a better, stronger, faster version of the ordinance. The second thing we dealt with was the North Texas Municipal Water District. Now, we did address two things, one in preliminary open meeting, one in regular meeting. In preliminary open, we addressed the operations of the plant. And in regular meeting, we had addressed the request for an SUP, specific use permit, to build a new administration facility or a facility on the grounds of the treatment plant. So this is the Rowlett Creek wastewater, that means sewage, treatment plant off of Los Rios Boulevard. Now, the two aspects, operations and the SUP for the new facilities building, they often get thrown into the same conversation because we're talking about the same plant. That's often not separated. However, it's important to note that there is an awful odor in and around the plant, and there has been for decades. The odor is a significant issue, particularly for the residents who have to live in it. I've been over there. I've smelled it for myself. It comes and goes with weather events, wind, the amount of rainwater going through the system, all sorts of things. It's not consistent. I should say it's not constant, but it is consistent. However, all of that is mostly a separate concern from whether to grant the SUP that passed Planning and Zoning 7-1. So the SUP is just whether and how to build the new maintenance facility. I should say that the current facility is inadequate, it's outdated, and the people who work there need something more modern. However, the residents that live right across Los Rios have raised a number of concerns just about the facility, never mind the entire plant, which they have plenty of concerns over the last several months. This item has been tabled 3 times so that the plant could, or the water district could meet with the residents and try to understand the concerns, work out arrangements. The district has, I will say, addressed a couple of things. They have done a couple of things like mitigating the nighttime glare, and they have talked about putting up a living screening wall, basically trees to mask the facility, and they're exploring diverting all truck traffic through the southern side of the property onto 14th Street. However, that one is probably the most significant thing that I have seen the district do for the residents, and they've spent hours in meetings together. And I have not seen the district take any appreciable steps toward mitigating the residents' concerns related to the SUP. And as such, I made a motion to deny because this has been months. I have been in meetings with the district, with the residents. I've poured over gobs of information. We've had this discussed on council numerous times. I made a motion to deny this SUP because I have seen numerous options and considerations requested for, again, never mind the odors, for the facilities themselves, for the administration building itself. And it seems that there are lots of reasons lots of statements saying that we can't explore the alternatives, but there are plenty of alternatives. That's why this has been going on for months. And so I hope that with the denial of this, that serious effort can be made to overcome the objections the residents have to the terms of the construction of the new administration building and work those out separately. And even more importantly, I want to make sure that the issues pertaining to plant operations, which have caused this ghastly smell in the area for so long, are about to be finally addressed. And the third thing we discussed, which you will be delighted, which was a public hearing on the proposed budget and community investment program and the accompanying tax rate. We are going for a three-peat for what is called the no new revenue tax rate. This started out when I was elected called the effective tax rate, and I campaigned on adopting the effective tax rate for at least 2 years to get a handle on the enormous tax increases of the prior several years, particularly the prior 5 years. Now, I wasn't quite able to keep that campaign promise because we did pass it the first year, the effective tax rate, but when we passed it the second year, it was no longer called the effective tax rate, it was called the no new revenue rate, so technically I didn't quite check that box. But I did pass what is now called the no new revenue rate along with the rest of council unanimously last year. And this year, the city manager's proposed budget includes what is now called the no new revenue tax rate. So that is 3 years in a row, our residents are going to be getting the no new revenue rate, which is just taxes are not increased. Now, as I always say, I gotta let you know, this is an aggregate calculation across all property in the city. It means that we're going to collect the same amount in tax revenue this year from properties that were taxed last year, meaning there will be no tax increase on existing properties and improvements. Now, new property will be coming online, which will increase our tax base. The aggregate increase in value from property that was taxed last year is being offset by a reduction in the tax rate so that taxes are flat. But because some properties increase in value, some decrease in value, some stay the same, as I say, your mileage may vary. It is important to note that residential values increased over the last year substantially. Commercial values decreased because of COVID. So that is not going to net out to commercial property owners and residential property owners the same. But we are going for a three-peat. We are going to get the no new revenue rate for the third year in a row. So this was also, I'm sorry, I should say that we made a motion to deny the Rowlett Creek plant SUP. The motion to deny passed 5-3. I forgot that part. So now, with all three of those things, that does it for my recap, and I'm going to go to bed. Good night.